Just 2 hours down Interstate 57 from Chicago, Urbana-Champaign, Illinois is home to the flagship campus of the University of Illinois and 2 micro-urban centers. Both are rich in pioneer history and Abraham Lincoln lore, as well as in the arts, big-time college sports, and commerce. There's also food. Urbana-Champaign is literally surrounded by food. Commodity crops like corn and soybeans ring the area. Travelers go from micro-urban to thousands of acres of food in just minutes in every direction. This kind of food is big business in central Illinois. In 2013, Illinois was #1 in soybean production and #2 in corn production. But there's something else going on. There are farms, small farms, that raise livestock, fruits and vegetables, and make value-added products like cheese to sell at farmers markets and into stores and restaurants. Prairie Fruits Farm is one of those small farms. Though it has a Champaign address and is just a few minutes north of the University of Illinois campus, it feels like a farm deep in the countryside. Wes Jarrell and Leslie Cooperband came to Urbana-Champaign to further their academic careers at the University of Illinois. They bought a few acres, some fruit trees, and 3 goats. But instead of educating college students, they're now educating eaters of all ages about their food and where it comes from. In the 10 years since their arrival at Prairie Fruits Farm, the farm's activity has increased exponentially. There are the day-to-day farm tasks, including building new structures, taking care of livestock, planning each season's work in the gardens and orchards, and paying the bills. But their entrepreneurial habits have taken them far beyond the day-to-day. They offer their award-winning cheeses at several farmers markets in Illinois, sell that cheese to wholesalers and retailers around the country, boast a popular line of goat's milk gelato, open their farm in the spring to visitors for breakfast and baby goat viewing, encourage people to visit in the summer and fall for you-pick fruits, and host groups of adults and children alike for tours of the premises. But a single, simple concept, dinner on the farm, gave rise to most of that activity. And to do that, they needed a chef.
We met Elisa not too long after we moved here.
I started working with a lot of the local farmers then with purchasing food for the specials menu, and that's how I met Leslie.
When the time came for her to leave the restaurant business, I was eyeing her as a possible candidate to help me make cheese. She worked in the cheesery for 2 years, I guess. Yeah, so I guess it was, well, around 2006, 2007. And in 2008, we no pun intended, cooked up this scheme to put in a commercial kitchen.
I think we just started talking about it while making cheese. I mean, Leslie and I were in there for hours on end, every day. So we just started talking about how much great food and diversity we have here in Central Illinois, and were people really aware of, the fact that they could practically source all their food locally for a good part of the year. So what we started thinking about, Leslie said, if we build you a kitchen, will you start cooking again? And I said, well, sure, that would be so much fun.
The first dinner on Prairie Fruits Farm took place on July 19th, 2008.
Yeah, we just came up with this menu, and I believe that I cooked that dinner pretty much by myself. We had a trial run, invited 20 people that we knew from around the community that were kind of into local food. We had Tim, the gentleman who built the kitchen, join us, my husband, some other friends of ours, and we just did this trial dinner.
It was really important for us to try out the concept of a farm dinner on people that we knew would give us brutally honest feedback. So we invited our close friends and also My mother was there, who is not shy on giving criticism. And so we set up a long table. You know, our model in our mind was a slow food meal. We also had been inspired by the show Outstanding in the Field, that public TV show where people set up long tables on farms and eat outside. So that concept was in our mind.
It was a learning experience.
That night, all of a sudden, the wind completely died down. It's normally always windy out here. There was no wind. As soon as people sat down to the table, there was no wind. And all of a sudden, the mosquitoes descended on people. And it was like our worst nightmare, because in some ways it was great, because it forced us to realize that we had to elevate the dining. We had to put in a platform so that people were not literally on the ground where the mosquitoes were hovering at dusk. The other thing that we realized was that Wes and I should never be servers. That Elisa came to us after the dinner and said, "You will never be servers. We will hire people that are semi-professional. You will be the host and hostess." Because we didn't know what the hell we were doing. I mean, it was...
It was pretty obvious we had not done serving before, yeah. And that we fundamentally weren't that adept, and probably not very good trainees, for that matter.
We found out that we needed to have somewhere, more permanent to eat. The bugs were really bad that night. Figured out that I could probably use some help in the kitchen. Initially, we only thought we were going to do 4 or 5 dinners a year. We didn't really think about bad weather, of where we were going to eat, if it were to rain that day or anything. We were just so excited about the whole concept that we just kind of jumped in, and things turned out pretty well. I think people were pretty excited about the menu, and we really discovered that we could create these menus that were sourced almost entirely locally, with the exception of flour and sugar and oil and such, and it wasn't, it was as we had suspected that we could do that. So
it was settled. Dinners on the farm, along with production of cheese, have become a major business driver. So how do Prairie Fruits dinners fit into the farm's routine now, 5 years after that trial dinner? WILL TV decided to find out by following the creation of a farm-to-table dinner through the season. Dinner season begins each May with the appearance of spring food on Prairie Fruits Farm and the other farms they work with, but the farm's kitchen hasn't been idle. The dinners are planned for months in advance, and weekly breakfasts and barn tours happen mid-March until farmers market season and dinner season get underway. The dinner WILL TV is following is on the calendar for September 15th, 2013. And in June, Elisa settles on the menu, a Prairie Fruits Farm twist on a good old-fashioned Midwest hog roast. While there are plenty of goats and chickens on the farm, the pigs are new. These black Hampshire crosses and red wattle crosses came to the farm in the spring. They're being raised as an experiment to see if small numbers of other livestock are sustainable and profitable for the farm. They're starting off in an area on the west end of the farm and will be moved as they get larger. Lack of a late hard freeze, a cool and wet spring, and not too much heat have set the stage for a phenomenal growing season on the farm. The fruit is looking particularly good in July and August as it begins to ripen. Wes and Leslie open their farm to the public on Wednesdays as the height of the growing season approaches. Other growers will occasionally attend as well to sell produce, but it's primarily a showcase for Prairie Fruits Farm and their cheeses, gelato, and as the summer progresses, you pick fruit.
The open houses have gone really well, especially since we were doing U-Pick this year. People are really excited about being able to U-Pick peaches and blackberries, and this coming week we'll probably U-Pick some pears for them too, and a little later some apples. So people are excited about that aspect of the farm, but that also lets them see the goats and lets them walk around the garden and see what's happening there. When people come out here, they do, I think, show an element of surprise. and which is probably the most gratifying part of it. They're surprised at the fruit. Many of them are not used to thinking of Illinois as having any fruit, even though it's got some terrific fruit in other parts especially. I think you can see their minds working, their wheels turning in their brains about how, why aren't we picking this fruit now, and why would we wait? It looks like it's ready. It looks like what I see in the supermarket. Why shouldn't I pick it? You see questions about the animals and why do you keep the kids away from the mothers and these other things. What are the animals actually eating? Is this hay? They don't know what hay looks like. And there's so many opportunities to educate the public, and that's because we're both educators. That's a really fundamentally important part of what we do. We see us as being part of a new food system that is more diverse than the old food system.
You know, seeing kids running around and having the experience that Wes wanted everybody to have, which was to eat a dead ripe peach and know what that really tastes like. And they can still see the goats, and they can walk through the vegetable garden, walk through the herb garden, get a scoop of gelato. We don't charge an entry fee. It is in the same vein of this place is accessible to lots of different people.
Farmers markets seem to be the gateway to getting people to the farm. Leslie first took the farm's cheeses to Urbana's Market at the Square in Urbana, Illinois in 2005.
I could sense that people were interested, that finally there was somebody that was producing cheese. Goat cheese was kind of scary to people. And our first year, we didn't actually start selling until August of that year because we didn't get licensed until then. We were just producing our fresh goat cheese, our fresh chev, and that was something that enough people were familiar with what that was and had preconceived ideas about what it tasted like. And we had a lot of tastings and a lot of people telling us that they hated goat cheese, that they would never try it. Me trying to get them to just take a taste, try to convince them that what they had been tasting was not what they were about to taste. And once they tasted it, you know, then we started getting these repeat customers. And then by our second year, when we started introducing soft ripened cheeses, the Brie Camembert style cheeses, to our repertoire, again, it was a process of educating people. But it all caught on very quickly.
A lot of people haven't tried goat cheese before, are a little nervous about goat's milk and goat's milk ice creams, and you know, it's kind of fun to have samples given to the kids and they get to try different things, and sheep milk is new to a lot of people, so it's a lot of sampling, it's a lot of talking about the process and, you know, explaining how much we love the goats and how that reflects in the cheese, and you know, being a part of this market is really wonderful.
As the season heads toward its peak, it seems like the staff at Prairie Fruits Farm are always attending markets and hosting open houses and dinners, but the day-to-day work never stops. There's cheese to make and package, livestock to feed, goats to milk, gardens and orchards to harvest, buildings and equipment to maintain, and still, bills to pay. Elisa balances her time between the kitchen and the garden, harvesting and even replanting greens as needed for dinners and other private events the farm sometimes hosts. The farm's large, colorful garden is on the south side of the property, with beds of herbs and vegetables cozying up next to the outdoor dining area and stretching toward the pasture on the east end of the farm.
I had a really active role in the garden this year. We started all of our tomatoes and peppers at our friend John at Blue Moon's farm. He has a much larger room that he can get the starts going. And then we brought them back to the farm, and Ben and I planted all the transplants of tomatoes here. We have probably 8 varieties of tomatoes out here going. Our favorite tomato on the farm is this little guy here called the Juliet. This is what we use in our tomato chev. So it's super sweet, the flavor is really concentrated. They can well, they make great sauce for pizza. It's just like our little worker tomato, this guy. This was all selfish in planting. I planted these beans this spring just because I love yellow wax beans so much. They're so sweet and delicious and pretty, and like I'll come out here and just like eat them for snacks.
She works with the produce from the garden, using it as it grows throughout the season. If there's a crop failure, menu adjustments will have to be made, but the spring and summer of 2013 have been close to perfect for growing food and flowers.
This is a bed of flowers we planted. We decorate the dining table with fresh cut flowers at every dinner, and so we thought we would plant a lot of sunflowers because we really like them. This is a variety called Teddy Bear because they're so fuzzy, and I think they're the farm favorite. I think everyone who's ever worked here has loved the Teddy Bear the most.
The flowers attract pollinators, which are needed for fruits and vegetables to grow, but they have other purposes as well.
We work really hard on trying to make the farm look really beautiful and to just make people appreciative of all the different things you can grow in the landscape. And so we try to have a lot of variety, and it also makes it a beautiful place for us to be every day, and that's important to us too. Leslie and I both love, we get out of hand sometimes with going overboard on the amount of variety of things that we plant. We always have to rein ourselves in the spring to not order too many varieties of tomatoes or get too ambitious with the garden, because the reality is that our time is limited as far as how much we can keep up on it.
The week before the dinner, the menu is finalized.
For the dinner this weekend, we are greeting the guests with a watermelon punch. Then we're gonna go into appetizers. We have these little lunchbox sweet peppers. They're red and yellow and orange. They're gonna be stuffed with our fresh goat cheese and broiled. We are taking some of our sheep's milk feta cheese, and we're going to decorate it with a lot of the edible flowers from our garden, and then drizzle it with extra virgin olive oil and serve that with baguette from Picara. Then we're going to make baked beans, local beans with bacon, and serve that on top of little crostini, and then present that on a big bed of coleslaw. And then we have these gorgeous yellow tomatoes, these big sweet beauties that we're turning into a gazpacho. We're going to top that with sour cream and toasted pumpkin seeds. And then for the main course, we're kind of skipping the first course because we're presenting this massive feast of a main course. We have a whole roasted pig. We've prepared some peach bourbon barbecue sauce with peaches.
Procurement of the food is in full swing, whether it's coming from the farm or from other farmers in the area. Elisa is an early morning fixture at Urbana's market at the square most Saturdays, and she's a familiar figure to most farmers there.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Need cabbage today?
I'm gonna take one green one and one red one.
All right.
She asks them about their farms.
How's your place doing?
Not bad.
Good.
They show her photos of their grandchildren.
Oh, he's so cute. What else do I need? I'm trying to think.
And she also visits a local baker for the baguettes.
I think I'm full.
It's the day of the dinner, which is scheduled to start at 3 p.m. Elisa and her crew have been in the farm's kitchen since early morning. Lawrence Mate, a local expert on the preparation of pork and a friend of the farm, has come in to help Elisa manage the hog roast. Some of the prep work is done a day or two ahead of time, and work will continue once guests have arrived and are seated. But in the late morning, while things are quiet outside, the farm's kitchen is electric with activity. Cabbage is chopped and mixed for coleslaw. The orchard's apples are peeled for pie filling as the pie crusts are finished. Vegetables last seen in the garden are chopped and tossed together for succotash. There's even a quick trip out to the garden to cut nasturtiums for plating a cheese course later on. Morning shifts gently to afternoon, and the serving crew arrives. There's a short meeting in the barn to go over the menu, schedule, and other logistics, like the dinner's location. The weather has been looking tricky all morning, and a decision will have to be made soon about whether guests will eat outside on the patio or indoors in the barn. Because rain isn't imminent, the decision is made to start the afternoon's activities outdoors, but dinner will be held inside just in case. The barn is well equipped to handle all guests in style. Timing the readiness of the food and environment for guests with the arrival of those guests is both an art and a science. Every hors d'oeuvre, from the roasted lunchbox peppers with fresh chev to the yellow tomato gazpacho shooters, features something fresh from the farm or from other local producers. After hors d'oeuvres, it's time to find out more about the farm. You can take these farmers out of education, but you can't take the desire to educate out of these farmers. Every dinner, including this one, starts with a brief introduction by Wes to the farm, its mission, and its operations, followed by a short tour of the goat barn and milking area. The goats, as always, are a guest favorite. While the hors d'oeuvres and tour are taking place, Elisa and her crew put the finishing touches on the first few dishes to go out. The meal is served family style at this dinner, with platters of pork, potato salad, succotash, fruit salad, and cornbread, all made with local ingredients, being passed up and down the 2 long rows of tables. Elisa comes out of the kitchen at intervals to talk with guests and tell them what they're eating, where it came from, and to answer any questions they may have. Because cheese is the farm's primary product, it gets its own course, plus a brief explanation by Leslie.
Charcoal ash that is mixed with salt and is dusted on the outside of the cheese.
It should be noted that the typical dinner experience on the farm lasts between 3 to 4 hours. It's not only about eating. It's also about temporary immersion in the farm experience and the conviviality in sharing it with others, in savoring sights, sounds, and tastes. All good dinners, however, must come to an end. After the last of the apple pie is lingered over, guests, farmers, chef, and crew bid each other goodnight. It's gone well. After some cleanup in the kitchen and the barn, everyone goes home. For Wes and Leslie, that's just a few steps away, and the farm is put to bed. There are more dinners on the schedule, and harvest is far from over, but tonight, the farm rests.
I think I didn't realize, because of the dinners in particular, but also our other open events, I didn't realize the impact it could have on many, many people socially. The environment we understood, we take good care of the land and the environment. The economics we work on, we understand those a lot better now than we did to begin with. But the whole benefit of having people out on your farm, having the dinners, having the breakfasts, having the open houses, and doing U-Pick, where you actually show them how to pick ripe fruit, all of those have been extremely gratifying and a very different way of teaching. It's a stealth education way. In addition, you're using food to attract people to a place, and you use really good food because that's the image you want them to have. But that opens their mind to doing all kinds of other things. At least 50% food and 50% the cuts.